It's time for Hostel Discourse. Here's your host, David Rolfing.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 22 of Hostel Discourse. We have a special Halloween-themed episode for you tonight, and we'll be talking about all things Harry Potter and the magical world of Hogwarts. We also have two debate questions. Debate number one, which spell from Harry Potter would be the best to have in real life? And debate number two, is Snape a hero? Before we get started, let me introduce you to tonight's podcast crew. First, Jacob from Tulsa and Joe from Oklahoma City.
Hello.
Hello.
And returning guests from New York City, Chris and Paige Fisher.
Hey yo.
Dinner Nagini.
Chris channeling his inner parcel tongue, I hear.
Chris just finished the book, so he's feeling really cool with all of his references.
I've been saying that to Bea every time I feed her now.
No one ever makes that. No one ever quotes that, though.
That's a good quote. That's a good quote.
Okay, and last but not least, Emily O'Hanlon with me in the Tulsa, Oklahoma studio.
Sup.
Hi, Emily.
Sup.
Hey.
And the significant other of Joe.
But more importantly, a huge Harry Potter fan.
And a Slytherin apologist.
And a huge Hostel Discourse fan.
Yes.
Yes, our number one listener on SoundCloud for season 1.
Yeah, honestly, it is such a treat to be here. An absolute blessing.
Well, we are glad to have you.
This is our reward for super fans.
That sounded forced.
Let's get things started with some Harry Potter talk. So when were all of you introduced to Harry Potter? What are some of your earliest memories entering this magical universe? Let's start with Joe, because I know it goes way back for you.
Yeah. Mine started, I don't know, probably elementary to middle school, I guess. Both my brothers are older than me, and they kind of read it, so I kind of got into it too. But I specifically remember having accelerated reading in middle school. I don't know if any of you had that, where you got points based on how many books you read. And let me tell you, Harry Potter was worth like 50 points each, so I demolished those things and got my points. And that's when I started reading them.
Nice. Paige, what about you? Have you read the books or just seen the movies?
Oh my gosh, of course I read the books. I think I started when the first movie came out, and my mom said I couldn't go see it until I've read the book. And at the time, like, you know, it was back in the day when everybody was like, are these bad books for kids? It's talking about witchcraft and black magic and stuff. And so I think I read the first book with my mom so that to make sure it was family appropriate. And obviously it was. And she was like, this is fine. And then I read the rest as they came out or whatever. So I think, I don't know, there were probably 2 when I first read that. And so, yeah, as they came out, I would read them.
Very nice. Emily, what about you?
Well, like Joe, I read them probably like early middle school. I remember the summer reading at the library. You got points, just like Joe was talking about, for the length of the books that you read and the amount of books that you read. So as I did that in grade school, like during the summer, I would read, you know, all of the Harry Potter books again and get loads of points. One time I got like front row Cardinals tickets because I like read the most books.
Nice.
So
how many times did you read Harry Potter?
Nerd.
Countless.
Wow.
I probably read them, the whole series, like once or twice a year.
Oh my gosh.
Which is, yeah. And then I've read them to like my siblings and stuff like that as they get older. But yeah.
Yeah, she wins.
Jacob, your turn.
Yeah, Harry Potter has been a big part of my life for as long as I can remember. Have been to the at Orlando Resort a few times.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
My first kiss actually was during a viewing of Chamber of Secrets.
Dirty dog.
Yeah, and
what a way to ruin a movie.
I know. Gosh, I know. But
was it like in your parents' basement, or was it at the movie theater?
Oh, it was one of those. It was long after theaters, because I would have been. How young would I have been for that to be a theater showing of Chamber of Secrets?
I think I was like 3rd or 4th grade when it came out.
It was one of those. I'm learning that like this wasn't the case for everyone, but I saw it on TV, and it was kind of true of like my high school. This is a small tangent, but like you get a big group of friends to watch a movie, and then like people who were couples would sit together and they would just like kiss during the movie. It was like a big. Isn't that weird?
That was elementary school for me.
Yeah, people kissing is gross.
I agree. Anyway, I remember seeing the first movie on an Easter Sunday. That was a surprise after church. And I remember when we started, my sister and I still lived in the same room. We were on bunk beds. And I remember my mom, she would read to us. And we were too excited. On that last chapter, Harry gets to the final part of that underground, or the third floor dungeon thing in the first book. And we couldn't wait to hear who was there in that last room. And my mom just read the next line. It was Quirrell, and my sister and I freaked out, and we couldn't go to bed.
Chris, last but not least, why in the world did you wait until the age of 25
37.
to start? Yeah, the age of 42 to start reading, or you didn't even watch it. Why'd you wait that long, Chris? Why'd you just join us in this amazing magical universe?
Oh, I don't know. Stubbornness, ignorance, things that I do frequently.
When Joe...
That's it.
Back in season 1, when Joe spoiled, hand quotes, that Harry dies, how far along were you in your books at that point?
I don't remember exactly, but I think I was no further than somewhere in the second book. Pretty sure I was on the first book.
Do you still feel angry at me about that?
Yeah, Joe, that's a douche move. Doesn't matter what the turnout is. You can't just manipulate someone's enjoyment and mindset like that.
I feel like it shouldn't manipulate your enjoyment. It's like, maybe I'm telling the truth or maybe I'm not, you know?
Chris, were you super surprised when you learned that Harry didn't actually die?
No. Super surprised, no. In my head, the book was going to end, before the kind of unveilings of the last chapter or two, the book was going to end with Harry and Voldemort dying simultaneously, with Joe's comment plus the prophecy. Some sort of vague scenario like that is what made most sense to me.
I kind of wish that had happened.
Yeah, did you wish that Harry had actually died?
No, I thought it was a good ending. It was, the only thing I wish, as far as the last scene, was I kind of wish Harry would have, directly killed Voldemort. It bothered me a little bit that he did an Expelliarmus charm, and it just reflected Voldemort's killing charm, and Voldemort effectively killed himself by reflection.
Well, do you think that maybe, I don't know, that Harry was too good to kill someone outright, that goes against his character to have killed Voldemort himself? It's
one of the character. I think it's a character flaw. I think Harry just bothers me because he's such a little B word. There's all these people trying to kill him, and he can't do anything more than stunning charms because he's such a sacred person. But it's just everyone else, the rest of the Order of the Phoenix are basically killing people. Mrs. Weasley, the purest soul in the book, kills someone at the end of the movie, but it's all in just cause. So that was one of the things that bothered me the most.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go over my introduction to Harry Potter. So my mom was against the whole wizard thing of Harry Potter, the witchcraft and all that. She thought it was
Christian
bad.
schools.
Yes. But in middle school, I was sick. I had the flu or something for a week, so I missed school. But I went to Blockbuster and picked up the first Harry Potter DVD, and I remember watching it in my basement by myself. And when they go through Diagon Alley, and he's picking up all of his stuff for school for the first time, I just remember being totally blown away and absolutely falling in love with it. I remember I picked up, I think, 2 and 3 to watch in that same week when I was sick. And I remember, man, I think I was probably too old to be doing this, but I remember going out in the yard and finding sticks that looked like wands.
Yes.
and getting them to play with while I watched the other movies in the basement. So I'm pretty sure I whittled them with my pocket knife too, so that they'd be more wand-like as well.
You see the scar on my finger here? That's exactly how I got that.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, twice in the last year, I've tried running into walls between platforms 9 and 10 in real life.
Yeah.
One time, I did it at a grocery store, and I broke a bunch of eggs. So, if you were too old then, I'm pretty sure I was too old now.
Yeah, because that was about 48 hours ago.
Yeah.
Gotta try.
So, Chris, you just finished the books. Have you seen all the movies yet, or no?
No, I've seen the movies up through The Goblet of Fire. I haven't seen 5 through 7 yet.
How do they compare for you? Do you enjoy reading the books a lot more? Do you think the movies are an accurate representation of them?
I think it's kind of typical fashion of book versus movie, especially when you watch the movie almost immediately after finishing a book. There's a lot, we had talked about this before, but I think the book that you read and materializes in your head, nothing can ever really live up to that. So if the movie meets that expectation, that's actually pretty rare and unique, but it's pretty impossible to surpass that expectation. So I thought the movies did a good job of encompassing the whole story. I was impressed by how much of the books they were actually able to fit in, as far as the kind of depth of the stories. I thought a lot of the character translation was pretty rough. I thought they did a poor job with Dumbledore. And other than that, I haven't seen 5 through 7 yet. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. It was in the era where like computer animation was getting really good, but it wasn't quite there yet. So it's kind of awkward looking back right now because it's like, oh, it was so close, but it's like too new to appear as a really old movie that had no chance. So visually it's like interesting, but yeah, I like the movie so far, but they don't compare to the books when you've just read them, especially in my opinion.
I would say the 5th and the 6th are going to be what you're looking for with that cinematography of just really creating that magical world. Like when they go to Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, I feel like those really depict what in my mind I imagined it to be. So I think that maybe that will be a little bit better for you with those two movies.
Yeah, they get different directors and different composers and stuff. So the later movies are definitely kind of a different experience than the first 3 or 4 movies.
Also, it's kind of tough because they had to cast the kids to look like the characters described, but, you know, their acting, they probably weren't like the best actors of all time, so they become kind of comical as you watch them. If you like rewatch them, the first time you watch them, you're like, yes, this is the movie, and you're all pumped. But then if you like keep rewatching it, you're like, oh, these are kind of cheesy in some scenes.
I'll be a knight.
Yeah, if you're disappointed with Dumbledore, you're going to be super disappointed with Ginny.
Yeah.
Oh, why did they keep her? They didn't have to. She has no role until like they could use an actual like trained young adult actress.
They kept all those kids.
Yeah, it was dumb.
And I don't know if she's necessarily a bad actress or they just really didn't let her character flourish in the movies. Like they just didn't view her as an essential character and didn't give her much screen time.
She's not.
And just wrote her super crappy lines. And
Chris, was your whole experience with the books on audiobook?
Yes.
What's the name of that narrator?
I don't remember, but he is incredibly talented.
Jim Dale.
Okay. Yeah, he
Jim Dale.
I agree, Chris.
Yeah, so that might be an interesting thing for you guys to mention because I think my experience overall was enhanced by the audiobooks just because of how talented this guy was. I think it helps the characters develop more the way they should. One thing that I've struggled with is I realize all these made up words I have no idea how to spell. So we were playing like Hangman the other day and the theme was Harry Potter and I thought people were cheating until I just realized these words are not actually what I think they are. Expelliarmus has an R in it. Who knew?
Expelliarmus. There's a bar in Oklahoma City near my house that plays those audiobooks in their bathroom at all times.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's been times where I've gone to the bathroom and just kind of hung out there.
That's awesome.
For a while.
That's awesome. That's genius.
It took a little longer than I should have, but it was just a good part of the book.
I feel like I think I've read and listened to all except the 7th. I've only read the 7th, but the biggest difference is I think the audiobook gets you to hate Umbridge more. I don't know. It's something about the performance that like I think he does so well with Umbridge that she's much more alive in the audio than just off the text.
Okay, it's funny you say that, and I was not sure if I'd be able to work this in at all, but just going off that, the thing that bothered me most about this series and the thing that is possibly sticking with me most is this massive black hole lack of justice for Dolores Umbridge. Like, I don't know if I've hated a character more than she. She just kind of like fades off both at the end of book 5. I mean, I know she kind of like gets trounced out of Hogwarts, but not that badly. And then at the end of book 7, I don't even know, it doesn't really even mention her. She's at the Ministry when the Ministry's overran, and then that's kind of like the last you hear about her. And man, I would have loved to see her humiliated and then killed by somebody or like herself on an accident, or Voldemort. All of it would have made me happy.
What was the most evil thing she did? She like scarred Harry's hand and made him not go to practice or whatever. Did she kill anybody?
Well, she like was she hated half-breeds, and she was definitely like a blood purist.
Oh yeah.
And then so in the 7th book, when she was working for the Ministry under essentially what was the Voldemort administration, she just like totally rose to power and was able to make all of her like terrible discrimination into laws against Muggle-born witches and wizards. And they basically like hunted down Muggles and half-breeds and imprisoned them.
She deserves to have the kiss of death. Wait, what's it called? The kiss of death?
Yeah.
The Dementor's kiss.
Yeah, the Dementor's kiss.
Oh, never
That would
mind.
have been nice.
Well, she was already soulless to begin with, so I don't know if that would have done anything.
Ooh.
Hey.
She needed humiliation. That's what she needed, because it bothered me so much that she was so arrogant. And I don't know if she was ignorant or if she just was kind of just enforcing her evil ways with pretended ignorance. But like her and Fudge both, their repeated claims of Harry being a liar and stupid and just wrong about the whole situation. And then they were just proven utterly wrong themselves. But, I mean, Fudge was embarrassed, I guess, but Umbridge just never got her justice.
I feel like Fudge was more ignorant than, like, Umbridge was.
Yeah, I think that Fudge was just more misguided, and he loved his office, and he wanted to stay in office, and he just did not want to believe, no one wanted to believe that Voldemort was really back, and he was just blinded by that. And then also about Umbridge, I think it kind of speaks how evil she was, that when she had the Horcrux and she was wearing it all the time, that it didn't change how evil she was. She was already that evil. And they even made a comment in it that like her behavior wasn't changed by the fact that she had a Horcrux. So I think that's a good argument if we were going to argue who is the worst villain, that Umbridge is just as evil as Voldemort, if not more so.
Yeah.
That a Horcrux didn't even do anything to her.
I am so glad we're not arguing that. That would have been tough to fight against.
Yeah, I have a lot of facts.
That was a little secret weapon.
I'm nervous.
All right, before we get into the debates, I have a few trivia questions for you all. So we'll see who has the most Harry Potter knowledge. These aren't the hardest, but first person to buzz in, I guess, say me. Then I'll let you answer. Okay. What is Hermione's middle name?
Me. Jean.
Yep.
What?
You get a point.
Yes!
Nerd.
And you don't have to say me. Just say the answer, I guess.
Oh.
Okay. Who is the 5th year Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher?
Me. Umbridge.
Yeah.
Dang it, I was going to say
I knew
that.
that one.
Remember, you don't have to say me.
Oh, sorry.
What is the name of the school of witchcraft that Fleur Delacour attended?
Beauxbaton.
Yep.
Yes!
Jeez.
I'm schooling you fools.
That's sweet.
That's true.
Okay. Who is the head of Ravenclaw that teaches charms?
Flitwick.
Flitwick.
Yep.
Get owned, Emily.
Wait, did somebody else say it?
Yeah, I
Jacob
did.
said it.
Oh, I said it.
He was first.
I think Jacob was
Ooh,
first.
the
We'll call it a tie.
the audio will
Jacob
reveal.
was definitely first.
Okay, I'll give it to Jacob. Everyone thinks he said it first.
Yay.
I already have enemies.
What is the occupation of Hermione's parents?
Dentist.
That was a tie.
That's tie.
Oh.
Okay. All right. A couple more. This character's Patronus was an otter.
Me.
Yes, Chris.
Ooh.
I just wanted to say me. Hermione.
Cho Chang?
Yeah, it was Hermione.
It was Hermione, yeah, and Ron's was a terrier because terriers are known to chase otters.
That's weird. I don't remember the question asking what Ron's was.
So cute.
Oh, okay, Chris. I'm just trying to give some FFs fun facts.
I like romantic facts.
I'm jealous of Emily's knowledge.
Here's a little more obscure one, at least in my book. This character wrote stories for the Daily Prophet.
Rita Skeeter.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Jeez. How much studying did you do for this? Thought you were supposed to be getting your doctorate.
Studies twice a year.
Dude, I would totally get a doctorate in Harry Potter.
Did you take the class that TU offered?
Yeah, I thought it was just on the music, though.
Oh.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Oh, wait, Chris, I had one more thing. Oh, well, not, I guess, just Chris, but I had one more thing about the audiobooks when we were talking about the benefits of reading or of listening to the audiobooks. So another thing that I got out of the audiobooks that I didn't get out of just reading is some of just the little snippets of humor that J.K. Rowling puts in there that are just in the narrative. Because sometimes when you're reading a book, you just are kind of looking for the dialogue, but there are some, like, I don't know, some details in there that you get from listening that you wouldn't get from just reading, like how Fred and George threw snowballs at Quirrell in the first year, which is like throwing snowballs at Voldemort. And I mean, it's just like one sentence and you would completely miss that if you weren't reading closely. Or just like some of the little details that she puts in about like the Honeydukes, the treats at Honeydukes and all the stuff at Zonko's, and just like little character developments that I think you would completely miss if you were just quickly reading the book.
I'm inspired to listen to them again.
We all know you can't read, Chris, so I know the audiobooks are your only option.
Aww.
All right, it's time for the debates. And joining us for the debates, Jared Cozart to complete our judging trifecta for tonight. Hello, Jared.
Hey, gang.
We're the Deathly Hallows.
Yes.
Which is which?
Ooh.
Objective, unbiased judgment.
I want to be the invisibility cloak.
Well, I already called it.
Ah, dang.
Debate number 1. This is a free-for-all debate, so Chris, Paige, Joe, and Emily will each be debating their own answer. Which spell from Harry Potter would be the best to have in real life? I think we narrowed this down to wand spells, so it can't... I guess there are other spells that you don't need a wand, but the spell must require a wand. Let's start with opening statements, and Chris, how about you give us your answer first?
Dear judges, you want to know what grinds my gears?
What, Chris?
Price gouging. I like to go to sporting events. I like to go to concerts. And yes, I like to be a little buzzed. Eye of rabbit, harp string hum, turn this water into rum. It's a spell that turns water into rum. You get your drink. It's incredibly cost effective. No more sneaking in flasks. No more dropping $50 on beer for 2 beers at a Yankees game. It's practical, and it would provide all of us with a little more money and enjoyment.
I thought you were kidding when you said you were doing that. I didn't know you were serious.
Also, Chris, you don't even drink rum.
Well,
ooh, a rebuttal already.
I like a rum.
No, we have to we have to keep it on opening statements.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Next, let's go with Joe.
Look, price gouging, not ideal, sure. But you know what's even worse than that is the dreadful act of having to clean. Which is why my spell, Scourgify, which is essentially a self-cleaning spell where you can clean whatever you want and it becomes spotless. So many hours people waste in a day cleaning their house, their kitchen, their clothes, their car, cleaning anything. And one spell can get rid of everything. It's a practical spell, it doesn't draw too much attention to yourself, and it saves so much time.
Great. Emily, what's yours?
Mine is the Confundus charm, which causes temporary confusion in a person or an object. And I feel like this is the obvious choice because it's pretty undetectable. You can use it to get out of sticky situations, and you can use it to get your way. I mean, there are a host of situations that this would be good for. So that's mine.
Paige, last but not least.
Okay, so I am going to choose the... Actually, I might need your guys' help because I read the books. Accio or Accio? Accio.
Accio, I think.
Accio?
They pronounce it Accio in the movies.
Yeah, I always said Accio. Hard Z.
I always read it Accio. What is it, Chris?
Accio.
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 That's how Dale says it.
Dale is British.
Okay, I trust him. So, that would be my spell, Accio. The benefits of the spell are countless. You know, as Emily said, it can get you out of a tricky situation. Say you're in a dangerous situation. You need something to get you out of that dangerous situation, whatever that item may be. Accio. Accio pepper spray. Whatever it is. It's good for laziness. Sometimes you're just on your couch. You don't want to get up and have to find the remote. Boom. Accio remote. It's right in your hand. It's amazing. Sometimes, you know, you go to work and you forget to bring a sweater and it's freezing that day. Accio sweater. I mean, it's the convenience charm. It's amazing. I would pick that every day.
Could you clarify what the spell does?
Oh, sure. You say Accio blank, then blank comes to your hand in a matter of moments.
It's a summoning charm. You could just say that.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Getting salty already.
Rebuttals, if you're so ready, let's do it.
I'm ready. Okay, I'll go. Okay, so we'll just start off with Paige. So, first of all, there are limits to the size and the distance that you can use your charm for. And it's not undetectable. Like you said, if you're at work and you want a sweater, like people are going to see a sweater, you know, flying through New York City in the sky to your little work building. So I think you're limited there. Like it's definitely easily detectable.
Maybe I work in Harry Potter world where it's totally
No,
cool.
I think the debate is real life.
That wasn't specified in my text.
IRL.
I think it was.
That is the debate
What
question.
IRL means.
So you're limited by the size and space. You're limited by, you know, performing it in a situation where you have to do it undetected. So you're limited in that aspect. And I feel like it's just the lazy person's spell. Like it's just limited situations you can use it in. Really, you're confined to your house. You can use it to summon a remote, and that's about it. And then moving on to Joe. How long and how messy are you making your apartment that it takes you hours to clean? Like, man, I don't feel like it should take hours and hours to clean your house. And I just don't think, I mean, yeah, it's a useful spell, but it's a household spell. It saves you a little bit of time, but ultimately you don't gain too much from it. So I just feel like there are better choices. I'll argue mine before I argue Chris's, because I think Chris's is probably the second best. So for mine, let me paint a picture. So say you're at the club and the bouncer's there collecting your little entry fee. What's that called?
Your cover.
Cover, yeah.
Yeah, your cover charge. Your cover charge. He's collecting your cover charge. And you don't really want to play. You don't want to pay. So you use your little Confundus charm and you're like, I already paid. And he's confused. And so he says, oh, I'm sorry, go on through. So boom. And then say you're at Chipotle and they're trying to charge you extra for guac. And you use your Confundus charm and you're like, oh no, I didn't get any guac. And they're confused and they don't charge you for guac. Boom, free guac. So you didn't do too great on a test. And so you go in and talk to your professor trying to get points back, use the Confundus charm, he's confused, gives you a great grade. Or what if you do something stupid and it's super embarrassing and you can use the Confundus charm to make the person confused about what happened, and then no one will ever remember the embarrassing thing that you did. So yeah, and that's my argument. It's convenient, it's very versatile, there aren't like any big negative effects, it's pretty undetectable, and there's no lasting damage. So I think that's probably the best bet. And then for Chris, I don't know, I feel like maybe if it turned it into any sort of alcohol, that would be really convenient, but it's only rum. And you know that one night you're just going to have too much and you're going to be like, I never want to drink rum again. And then
I'll
your
drink it the
spell
next
is
day.
useless. I don't know. I don't think you will.
Chris, would you drink some Southern Comfort right now if given the opportunity?
Just for the sake of this argument, I sure
No,
would.
you would not. And it's because you had a bad night with Southern Comfort and now you hate it. And the
Joe,
same thing can be applied to rum.
You cannot prove this, and I guarantee it. I promise it. I would. Jacob, on the other hand, probably wouldn't.
No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jacob, I will follow up first off by defending my own. Look, you're right. I don't spend hours a day cleaning my house, but I do spend hours a week cleaning my house. And I probably spend hours a week doing laundry and cleaning my car and honestly cleaning anything. Cleaning is one of the worst things you can do. It's super annoying. Doing your laundry and cleaning your house are two extremely annoying things. And I can go to the gym, work out, use Scourgify on my clothes, and not have to deal with sweaty clothes in a gym bag. I can use it on my shoes and they won't smell. So many applications for Scourgify besides just having a clean house. But it will make your house clean. It'll make everything look great. You'll always impress your guests. And you'll save so much time cumulatively in your life. This whole Confundus charm thing, you're just manipulating your way through life. It's the least respectable way to go about things. And if someone ever caught you doing it, you'd have to... You're pulling your wand out in front of you every time you're using it. So it's going to be pretty obvious. So someone's going to catch you. And number 3, people are going to find out eventually. And how can your friends trust you when they realize that you're just confusing them every time something doesn't go your way? So you're just a jerk is what you are.
Well, I am a Slytherin, so...
Yeah. Well, now we know why.
I know. She chose to steal and lie.
I just feel like you lose so many friends.
It's just free guac, guys.
You're going to do it to your taxes, too.
You're
I just confused the government.
Forcing people to have short-term memory loss repeatedly, which eventually is going to have bad effects.
I mean, if we're being honest, I would probably use it most often to make people forget about embarrassing shit that I did, because I do so many embarrassing things, so really...
You can't make people forget their whole life. And that is the embarrassing part.
Wow. Harsh.
I'm sorry.
Don't forget who I'm dating.
Are we done with the rebuttals?
No, Chris and Paige, y'all...
No, I mean with Joe's rebuttals. I was going to go next.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So, I was basically going to say the same things Joe said about Emily. I was going to say the ways she's using it don't seem to be the most honest and effective. Therefore, I would say it's maybe not the best. Joe, I love the idea of a clean house. I love that you are going for that. I just think there's cooler spells out there, man. Like, a clean house is great, but there's just cooler things out there. And I agree. I think it only takes like an hour or two a day, so it wouldn't save you that much time. Not even an hour or two a day. Maybe 15 minutes if you really maintain it. Chris, rum is not even your drink. I know that. And so I know you'd get sick of it. You'd get bored. You'd want to get some whiskey eventually. You would want to get some gin eventually. You'd maybe use that once a month as a cool party trick, and it'd be awesome. I'll give you that, but I don't think that you'd really use it on a daily basis. And if you did, that could probably turn out bad as it is. Mine is really the only one that I think that you would really use effectively on a daily basis. You can be sneaky about it, go into an area where people can't trace that you're the one who's calling for your little thing. And I would argue that you would use it outside of your apartment, and using it in your apartment wouldn't be the worst. I would say it's laziness, but sometimes you're in a tricky situation and you need to get something, especially someone who's short like me. You need to get that pot that's way up high. Accio, boom, it's right there.
That is a tricky situation.
It's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky. Somebody comes in the house, tries to hurt me. I'll Accio something that can hurt them back, and it'll be great. So self-defense, there you go. And yeah, I would argue that I would use it outside of the house, and it'd be very handy.
Accio my face into your fist.
That would hurt your face.
Yeah, is that backwards?
Oh, yeah, damn. Let me try that again. Osseo my fist into your face. There we go. Definitely do the second one on the podcast.
David, keep the first one.
No.
I feel like you have to summon their face into your fist. You can't summon your fist away from you.
Okay, Joe.
Okay.
Way to ruin the joke.
Just saying.
Blue collar America, I appeal to you.
Oh, jeez.
Those of you that aren't millennials, those of you that are able to work a hard job, yet still clean your house, Joe, and still grab a remote, Paige, or a pot, and God forbid you have to use a stepping stool. All of these things would be convenient, yes. But for those of you, myself included, that put in a lot of hard work and want to just go to an event and enjoy yourself without spending as much on you and your friends' booze as you do for admission, this is a great solution. And yeah, it would be a cool party trick. And yeah, I would get sick of it. But it's something that would be practical, and I would have moderate enjoyment out of it. I think it's important that it wouldn't drastically alter my life, because I think that can often bring in unintended consequences. And lastly, Emily, obviously your choice, it's going to compromise many moral and ethical and possible legal boundaries. I don't really care about that as much as Paige and Joe do, but if you're going to pick the jinx that you've picked, I just feel like there's more unique and powerful jinxes that already cross that boundary that could give you even more of your evil enjoyment. Like, why not just pick the Imperious Curse, which gives you everything that you've been desiring from this previous jinx, but a lot more power, and also it doesn't leave you up to the kind of potential volatility that confusion without being able to successfully convince that person of what actually happened does. Like, if you want to control people, why not actually just directly control them? If you want that free guac, why not just Imperious that person and make them give you the guac? You know? That's all I have.
Well, I would argue that while I am a Slytherin, I'm not evil. Like, I don't want to take control of someone's mind and make them do things, like bad things that they don't want to do. I just want to kind of give myself maybe a little edge.
You cannot deny that your examples were of ethical and moral questionability, and that is the nicest way I could say it.
Well, they're not evil though. And then also I would argue that the Imperious Curse is very complicated and it requires a lot of attention, and you have to be constantly trying to influence that person under the Imperious Curse. And it's very complicated and there's a lot of hassle that goes into it. I'm not speaking from experience, but it just is not convenient and it's just not as good.
Otherwise,
and I don't want to use it to like a huge scale. It's just a little here, a little there.
I think it exceeds the Confundus jinx. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, the Confundus charm.
Charm. It doesn't seem very charming.
Okay, let's get 30-second final statements from each of you, and I think the judges can make their picks.
Wait. Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, you are of equal authority as me right now.
Yes, all right.
Change the name of the podcast.
Yeah, kick him off.
Big D, you're fired. I'm sorry.
Well, that's unequal authority.
All right, fine. Joe's fired. Easy decision. Moving on.
Seconded.
Dang it.
Chris, I have a question for you, because you have an interesting point here about life-altering spells causing unintended consequences. What do you imagine some unintended consequences are of the other people's spells that would be a negative?
You know, Jared, it's a good question, and sometimes you can't always foresee the negative consequences until something happens, but like the first thing that pops into my mind is the movie Click. The guy gets this remote where you can go back in time or slow down time. You can do a lot of things, and it seems awesome. And then you don't realize the power, and his life becomes hell. And I'm not saying these other charms would necessarily be bad, but I think they are so mundane in the everyday usage that they would be used frequently. And it might have unintended consequences, such as, I don't know, maybe if you're always having your apartment cleaned, you become really lazy. Or maybe if you're always having to summon something instead of grabbing it, you lose basic finger muscle functionality.
Okay, but I would argue that laziness and loss of muscle use is a better side effect than maybe alcoholism or evilness.
Whoa. I don't think mine's evil.
Yeah, and I was only going to make 2 drinks.
Okay, final 30-second statements. Let's start with backwards order. Think Emily.
Okay, so the Confundus Charm is not evil. It's not going to have any lasting negative consequences on anyone. You just use it, to get out of sticky situations, to make people forget embarrassing things that have happened. And it's pretty undetectable, and it's pretty versatile. You can use it in a number of different situations, and it's going to be the most useful.
Very good. Paige.
Accio, really functional, able to summon things to you. How often do we wish that? How often have I, in the many, many years following Harry Potter, have thought to myself, if only I was magical and I could use the Accio curse to summon something right now. Incredibly beneficial. I would argue we would all use it every single day, and it would really make our lives easier. And yeah, I would like to end by saying, don't be an ass, pick Accio.
Oh, powerful. Wow. Fireworks at the end of that one.
Okay, Joe, final statement.
With Scourgify, you take out one of the most annoying tasks in your daily life, doing the laundry and doing the dishes and all that stuff. But not only that, you save money because you don't even need to own those things. You don't even need to own a washer or dryer or cleaning utensils, which is awesome. Chris, you're going to get sick of the rum. You don't even have the ability to summon a chaser or a mixed drink with the rum. Emily, you're very immoral. Your friends are going to stop trusting you. And Paige, have you heard of the movie WALL-E? Because that's what I picture you becoming with an Accio spell, is a blob on a couch who summons everything to you.
A blob on a couch.
Nobody who knows me actually thinks that would happen.
You never know what power can do to a person, though,
True.
That's right.
Unintended consequences.
Chris.
I'm a simple man who can perform simple day-to-day tasks, Paige and Joe, and I want to live a good, honest life, Emily. Now, if I can just make a nice drink inside a sports game without paying $12, I will be marginally so much happier. And with that, Accio debate victory.
That's a little confusing there at the end, but
yeah, that proves my point.
Yeah, geez, I don't know who to vote for.
Confundum judges.
That's even worse.
Pick me.
Okay, judging trifecta. Let's assign ranks 1 through 4 to each of our contestants, and whoever ends up with the lowest rank, like golf, will be the winner.
Golf.
Jacob, why don't you start?
Okay. First of all, I want to note that no one seemed to attack Chris's option for the fact that there is no proof that it works.
And I would like the judges to exclude that from their determining criteria.
I cannot include it. I cannot include it. That's why I must take note.
What do you mean prove that it works?
Seamus just only says his brother...
I think you're right.
Yeah, when I looked it up, it said no one actually knows if it works.
Oh, it was like a joke?
Just like...
He just ends up blowing up something like he normally does.
Goblet.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does actually work.
Okay, here, I'll go first with my option number 4, and that is that's Emily. And it's because I think you picked the best option, or the most powerful option, but it just got confusing because you were kind of riding on the too much power can become corrupting and that kind of thing, at least towards the end. And that seemed to conflict with your stance of just the power of the charm. Third place is Chris. It was a very one-dimensional argument. So there's a lot of purity to it, but your strength was in your rebuttals and not in your own case. And for that, it's just third place. First place goes to Big Joe Kuiper.
Yeah.
Because there at the
always
end,
wins.
you brought it together. You brought it together and made me remember that there is money to be gained by having a cleaning spell, which was Chris's one pillar, and you just took it from him and put it on your own tower. And so for that, you are my number one choice.
Woo!
All right, I'm going to give my ranking. And boy, do we think differently, Mr. Hunter. Big Joe, 4th place.
Nice.
Dang.
Who'd have thunk?
Jared, you're so wrong.
I'm so wrong? No.
Your call.
It is, thank you. And here's what happened. I was pretty moved by all the arguments against cleaning. It's like not that big of a deal.
That's because you never do it.
Amen, brother.
Oh wow, that is a good point. That is a good point, Joe. Also, as to Jacob's comment, like throwing in the money saving thing at the very end, like you barely even made that a point. I was hoping you would have hit on that a lot more than you did, and you did not. Number 4 for you, Joe.
I accept it.
Coming in at number 3, Paige.
We're the opposite of Jacob.
Yeah, that's funny. And I don't know, like it was a little too vague for me. Like someone mean, scary comes in, you're gonna accio like something to hurt him with. Like I would have liked some more details there. Okay, number 1 goes to Chris.
Ho, even a surprise for myself.
I didn't think it was very one-dimensional. Well, okay, it was pretty one-dimensional. But man, I sure love whenever people make criteria and then prove their point. And Chris had very simple, just honest criteria, and he proved it. And he had some great, rebuttals against other people. So that's my rank.
Okay, very good. My rankings start with 4th place.
It's close right now. I've got the averages on a spreadsheet right now, and it's anyone's
It is
ball
very
game.
close.
Chris is
4th
winning.
place, I give to Paige. Paige, the examples you gave were all just so lame. Getting a pot off of the fridge and getting a sweater when you're at work, it just didn't convince me that that's the best spell that you could possibly have. So I'm sorry. 3rd place, Emily. Yeah, it sounded cool at the beginning of your argument, but everyone kind of saying what legal trouble you could get into. All the examples you gave were kind of public situations. Somebody would notice at Chipotle you getting free guac by waving a wand in somebody's face and confusing them, as well as the bouncer getting the free cover. I think it sounds cool, but in real life, it's not as realistic. So that leaves me with Joe and Chris. I like both of these because they're more private. You can do them in your own home if you wanted to, and you wouldn't become this huge sensation of, having some special power. But Joe, you get 1st place.
Woo!
Your final statement really convinced me. You would save a lot of time having that power. I know you didn't say this, but you could even start your own cleaning service if you wanted to.
I did think about that, yeah.
Goals.
But I thought that, Chris, people saying how you get sick of the drink is really true. And
Oh, for sure.
you're not Jesus, so you can't turn water into alcohol.
Yeah, I can.
Has anybody averaged out the scores?
That means Chris and I are both at
And we have
both
a
at
tie.
6.
Oh, more
Average of
trivia.
2.
Who's tied?
Joe and I are tied at an average of 2 out of 4, and Paige and Emily are tied at an average of 3 out of 4.
Ooh.
Wow.
Let's see what we can do about this. First person to answer this trivia question.
Dang it.
Just the 2
Chris
tied
just
for
finished
1st
these
place.
books.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
What is the name of the school Victor Crumb attended?
Oh, guys, come on.
Oh, I
Me.
know this.
Durmstrang.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yay!
With a quick Google search.
Got it. I didn't touch my computer.
It was Devil's Snare, right?
Oh, that's
The first
right.
one?
Yeah.
Emily, what's like
I thought it was gillyweed.
That's the 4th.
Gillyweed is what you eat
That's
to
how he
get
breathes
gills.
underwater.
Nice work, Joe.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant by plant.
On to debate number 2. Is Snape a hero? This is a 2v2 debate, and it is paired up as couples. Joe and Emily will be debating Snape is
Not a hero.
not a hero. Chris and Paige will be debating Snape is a hero.
David, who is that? Is that a Harry Potter shirt?
Yes, Nimbus.
Oh, I didn't see the nimbus. It kind of looks like a sperm if you don't see the nimbus.
Very nice.
This is our filthiest episode.
Okay, let's start out with opening statements with the winning team of trivia, Joe and Emily.
All right. Snape's a...
Dobby.
I probably can't
Emily,
say that.
you can't say stuff like that. On the
Oh my
podcast.
gosh.
No. Let's back
Okay,
up.
all right. Well, let me rephrase.
Man, how I wish we could keep that.
Game over.
Snape is a Death Eater. He constantly torments Harry. I mean, he does a few good things for the Order of the Phoenix, but just because he does a few good things doesn't mean that he is a good guy. He is by no means a hero in this story.
Also, for some criteria, in order to be a hero, you need to fit the following criteria. This is for you, Jared.
Thank you.
These criteria
I
that
love
you
this.
must perform courageous acts, you must be admired, and you must be noble. And Snape only fits one of those three things. He's courageous, there's no doubt. He gives his life, risks it for the betterment of the wizarding world, but he does it for the wrong reasons. His motives are bad. He's a jerk while he does it. And all around, he's not a good guy. He's a jerk, a Death Eater, developed a spell that literally cuts you up. And that's Sectum Sempra. So not a nice smell, not a nice guy.
Okay, opening statements for the other side, Chris or Paige.
Judges, who is the first hero that comes to mind when you just think of it in your head?
Beowulf.
All right.
Spartan 117, the Master Chief.
Well, I was thinking just Harry Potter, so Dumbledore popped into my head.
All right. Well, I was hoping you would say somebody more like Batman. Let me give you
Is Batman
three things that Snape has. Yes, Batman is obviously a hero. Whether or not he's a superhero is up for debate.
Fair.
Let me give you three things that Snape has in common with Batman. Number one, they both have incredibly distinct voices. Number two, they both effectively wear black dresses. And number three, this is the real one, they are the hero that we need. But wait, how does it go? Hold on. Let me don't cut
The
this
hero
out.
we deserve, but
Cut
not
this
the,
out.
The hero we-
yeah.
the hero we
God,
deserve.
who knows? What is it?
They are. I forget.
How could anyone possibly know?
That's it. He's the hero we deserve, but not the one we need right now.
All right.
Yes,
thanks,
that's
Joe.
true. That is true, Joe. Good for you.
And number three, they are both the hero we deserve, but not the ones we need right now. Snape is undeniably a hero. Joe, I disagree with you, and I will address that shortly
I think it's clear we
hereafter.
disagree.
That Snape does fit into those three criteria, and Snape is obviously a hero.
Okay.
Paige, have you anything to add to the opening statement?
I think that Snape is a wonderful character. I would argue he has some of the best character development in the book. And I think it makes the ending so much sweeter, finding out that this guy you've been hating for, 6 books is actually a hero. And, I mean, it's not just us that think that. I mean, Harry obviously thought that. Didn't he name his kid after him?
Yeah, bad name.
Yeah. So I think that he is one of the best characters in the book. You see a lot of character development. You see him propelled by his love for Lily. I wouldn't say that's completely selfish. I would say that he did it. His love for Lily helped him help Harry, helped Dumbledore, helped them defeat Voldemort in the end.
All right. Let's open up the floor for rebuttals.
Or arguments?
You got it.
Yeah.
Like the main arguments?
Yep, that works.
Okay. All right, Paige, addressing what you just said about love. I was really hoping that you were going to bring that up. In fact,
Uh-oh, here we
I
go.
was counting on it. So let's just start off with that. So Snape has the stereotypical nice guy syndrome. He is infatuated and obsessed with Lily, and he just has the typical nice guy mentality. Like,
oh, James sucks so much and I'm so great. Like, Lily deserves to be with me. I'm such a nice guy.
Okay, just because you're a nice guy doesn't mean that you're entitled to someone. And she doesn't love him, so... And he's just moping after her all the time, even after she marries James. And also, he is not a nice guy. Like, he in no way deserves her because, one, he is obsessed with the dark arts. He is practicing the dark arts from a very young age. And also, he's so obviously a pure-blood supremacist. You know, the famous scene that Harry sees the flashback of in The Pensive is when he calls her a mudblood. And the only reason that he's upset about that is because he said it to her. Like, he's like, oh, no, it's different because it's you. No, you're racist or a purist or whatever you want to call that word. Like, she even addresses it and says, you call everyone that's muggle-born a mudblood. Like, why am I any different? And he doesn't have a response to that.
Well, Emily, those are all great points if the question is whether or not Snape is a nice guy. But the question is whether or not Snape is a hero. And I undoubtedly agree with Joe's definition. I think we all agree that Snape was courageous. You said he's not admired, but I would strongly disagree with that. As Paige alluded to earlier, he was admired enough by Harry, who is arguably his arch nemesis throughout the book, to name his own child after him. That's incredible admiration, let alone he was admired by Dumbledore for his work. And Dumbledore is probably the highest moral character of the series.
No, he's not.
And last but not... Okay, different debate, different time. He's very powerful and he's centerfold. Last but not least, he is noble. Now, the first thing that pops up on the noble definition is belonging to a hereditary class with high social or political status.
Oh my goodness.
Snape is a pureblood. That is noble. Secondly, it says having or showing fine personal qualities or high moral principles. Now, Snape did some mean things, but it was either out of an act to stay undercover while operating ultimately for the best good of the group of humans that are fighting against pure evil. And he did it like as the ultimate sacrifice of putting his life up on the line against the most powerful dark wizard and lying to him and leading a second life. I mean, he's not admired by many just because his deeds weren't known by many, which I would label an unsung hero. Unsung, but a hero.
I would label Snape as a sung unhero, actually. Everybody loves to talk about how great
hilarious.
Snape is. He's the most sung about person in the books and in the movies. He has a huge cult fan base. Everyone loves Alan Rickman and his portrayal of Snape as a super great guy. He's got such a rough life. He's so sympathized with.
Alan Rickman died, and then everybody said they loved him. If David Radcliffe, if anybody died, everybody would talk about how much they loved him.
Even before Alan's untimely death, Snape, he was that guy that everybody loved to be like, oh, he was so rough. We feel so sorry for him. The troubled soul character. But all he was a creeper motivated by some ridiculous desire for a girl who rebuffed his affections. And at the end of the day, Dumbledore just manipulated that because Dumbledore was not a very great character. He's a good guy, I guess, but he was one of those ends justify the means characters. So he used Snape. He exploited his love for Lily for the betterment of his own goals. And he said, you have to save Harry because it's Lily's son, or whatever he said in that 6th or 7th book. He was just manipulating Snape. Snape never did anything with the motive of being a good guy. All he did was do things because of this crazy, unrequited love for Lily.
I would like to say, since when is having a crush make you entitled to someone's affection or a creeper? I mean, he's just a guy with a crush. The girl didn't choose him at the end of the day. He didn't go attack her. He didn't go, do anything too creepy. He just had a crush on her. Give him a break. And, he used that crush, he used that love to save her son, despite the fact that he really didn't have to. A lot of us just get over it at the end of the day. But, it was a deep love. Is he a nice guy? No. Is he, kind of a jerk and like not always super nice to Harry and probably like, I don't know, not a guy, like, should Lily have dated him? No. Is he maybe a little bit racist?
Not
probably
qualities I want in my hero.
He's a little insecure, okay? Guys, he's insecure. I would call it insecure, has a crush. Not a creeper. Not like this weird entitled asshole. Just a guy with a crush.
Okay, I'm ready. Put me in, coach.
Tag in.
Okay, so, I mean, let's just look about all of the things that he has done. Okay, first of all, he was a Death Eater. We've already established that. But the Death Eaters, I don't think we really understand the severity of, you know, all of the things that Death Eaters did. They tortured and killed Muggles, Muggle-born witches and wizards, and anyone that opposed Voldemort's rise to power. And Snape was a part of that. And
former Death
hold
Eater.
up. The only reason that he even decided to change sides was because Lily became a target. And if it wasn't for this, he wouldn't have stopped being a Death Eater. And he was clearly not perturbed by any of the things that he was having to do as a Death Eater. That didn't bother him at all. And the only reason that he stopped was because it directly affected him, because the girl that he was crushing on after all this time was a target. And so you have to look at what really motivated him in his actions to, you know, save Lily and then later to do the things that he did for the Order of the Phoenix. Because I'm not arguing that some of the things that he did were brave and for the greater good. Like, some of the things that he did ultimately aid Harry in defeating the Dark Lord, but that doesn't make him a hero because he did a few good things. Like, really, he was motivated, I think, by his own guilt. He knew he was responsible for Lily's death, but his actions were selfish. He did those things to appease his guilt for what happened to Lily. And I think that if Snape really felt guilty about, like, all of the terrible things that he'd done and really felt remorse about the pain that the victims' families, and specifically the Potter's friends and families, went through, that you would see that in his behavior in the books. But you don't. You see that he's just constantly a prick to Lupin and Sirius, even though they're supposed to be on the same side. And he is abusive to Harry in every single class. He's constantly ridiculing and insulting him just because he looks like James, the guy who stole his precious Lily away from him. And if Snape really felt bad, I think that we would see drastically different behavior from him in the books. If he were really a hero, if he had seen the light and changed sides and were really a hero and a good guy, we would not see the kind of behavior that he exhibits in the books.
I would disagree. I think just because he's motivated by retribution or even attempted retribution does not mean he can't classify as a hero.
I would like to say, could I interject for a bit, Chris, to support that?
Absolutely, my love.
Thank you. There's a good Friends episode, if anybody here watches Friends, that there is really no unselfish good deed. Maybe you're doing something for the attention of others. Maybe you want just that good feel-good feeling after doing a good deed. Look at all the superhero movies. They're usually saving some girl that they are in love with. It's just, it's how the world goes round. We're all a little bit selfish. Using the love for someone else that you have to do good things, save people, ultimately defeat the Dark Wizard, I'm okay with it. Go on, Chris.
I think those are great points. All I was going to say is we all know Snape is a calloused personality, but he had reason for being so. He was tormented and abused himself as a child and as a teenager, and he eventually did see the light and took his opportunity at retribution and acted upon it. And he sacrificed himself daily, knowing that he could be killed any day for doing what he is doing. But I don't want to elaborate too much more. I think it ultimately comes down to the definition that Joe presented, which I think Snape slides into all of those slots. I think he's obviously courageous. He is noble in more ways than one. And he is admired, and that is undeniable.
He is noble in one way, in that he is an upper class thinking as a purist, a pure wizard. But he's not noble in his actions. There's nothing noble.
I think he's his sacrificial actions and his commitment to the greater good are of high moral quality, especially when you weigh what was at stake for him.
He lived a horrible life. I don't think he had too much at stake. His life sucks.
You can't just cast a suicidal persona on Snape just because it's convenient for you.
I have one more little argument, and I guess it can also be my closing statement if we're ready for that.
That works.
Okay, so Chris, you mentioned that he was bullied and stuff like that. I want to bring your attention to another character who was in a similar situation as Snape. Luna Lovegood. Luna was not, her family isn't super well off. She is bullied at school. She's viewed as an oddity. People make fun of her all of the time. They call her Loony Lovegood. They steal her things. But I think Luna really exemplifies the path of a real hero. They're both in the same situation, but Luna remains pure of heart. She remains loyal and a truly good person, whereas Snape takes the path of selfishness and bad, poor actions. He's ignorant. He is a pureblood supremacist, and he doesn't make any attempts until Lily is in jeopardy, he doesn't make any attempts to change his views. And I think that when you look at Luna versus Snape, you really see how Luna is the true hero there. She is courageous, she is noble, and people admire her. And she chose to take that path versus Snape, who is just this convoluted little sad man who's still obsessed with this girl who rejected him. And he just does a few good deeds and thinks that makes up for the way that he treats everyone around him that he still holds grudges on. And I think that comparison of Luna versus Snape really just shows that Snape is by no means a hero.
Why can't they both be heroes?
I would say they're both heroes.
I would too. And on top of that, we know Snape was attempting retribution ever since Lily's death, which was far before these books ever started. Who are we to say that all of this coldness, which I don't even think really disqualifies him from being a hero anyway, who are we to say that that's not part of the act of pretending to eventually be a Death Eater and ultimately work toward the goal of the double agent? We are not to say. That's all I have to say. Paige, would you like to add anything?
There's Malcolm X's and there's Martin Luther King Jr.'s. Both are seen as heroes.
Wow. So were those your final statements, Chris and Paige?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Joe, go for it.
Yeah. Like I said before, Chris, those things that you listed earlier, very courageous acts, but I think that those still fit into the courage category. But I think nobility is above that. Nobility is about the motives and the way in which you perform these courageous acts. And with Snape, his motive was just this misguided love for a girl that was dead. He didn't do it because of high moral code to better the wizarding world and improve the lives of those around him. And honestly, he would have rather just seen the wizarding world free from mudbloods and muggles, which was more in line with Voldemort's thinking.
Please don't use that
because he wasn't
word.
Racist. Okay, well, and that takes away from his nobility because it was not for a high moral code reason that he did these things. And as for admiration, he wasn't admired. Harry only named his son after Snape because some sense that he needed to atone for his hatred of Snape, and he didn't actually think Snape was a good guy. He knew Snape was a horrible person. Snape was horrible to Harry, but it didn't just make him a hero, it made him less of a villain, is what it did.
Sounds like admiration to me, but oh well.
All right. Jared, are you ready to give your verdict?
Oh, man, I am torn.
As am I.
I'm very torn. I'll think through it right now. Here's what it came down to for me, okay? This is good. It made it easier to judge that you guys kind of agreed on a definition. And Chris convinced me that, and Paige as well, convinced me that Snape is courageous and he's admired. So noble is the one I'm stuck on. And Joe's making some good points, and Emily about his motivation, and this kind of misguided love thing. So ultimately, I gotta go with.
He's a pureblood, don't forget.
What?
Pretty
oh,
noble.
yeah, that's true.
That's like 2.5 out of 3.
But you're either a hero or you aren't. You can't be like, that's not where we're arguing. We're arguing, is he a full hero?
We don't round up any herodom.
He was more in the highest of character.
Right.
What say you?
The highest of character. This is tough. Ultimately, all right, here's my decision. It goes to Chris and Paige.
What? I didn't expect that.
Yeah, you really
switched it on us.
Man, that was really hard.
One point to Chris and Paige. Jacob, what is your verdict?
Yes. I love this debate because I think we instantly got to the heart of the issue. And like Jared said, we weren't really fussing over semantics as much as about character and the gray areas that are the fun things to talk about. A few red flags are on the Joe and Emily side. There's a lot of name calling, creep, racist. That was a joke. But
accurate description.
Yeah, which didn't. I think that it was sometimes they'll kind of defaulted into just making fun of him because it is kind of easy to make fun of Snape. On the other side, I think Chris and Paige were to an extent being ignorant of the just sheer amount of morally questionable things that Snape encouraged, did, or I guess overlooked, which was so much of what you guys' point was. At the end of the day, that ended up being the deciding thing. Is I think Joe and Emily convinced me that the amount of bad things that Snape had done was not so much that it couldn't be outweighed by the good things he did, and also they were just evidence of kind of just the bad that was going on inside the character. So that therefore takes him out of the nobility talk, and therefore is not a hero.
Woo!
Yes.
It's a tied
1-1
game.
Going into the bottom of the ninth.
All right, Big D.
I have this power once again to choose the winner. But it is not my real choice. It was the arguments presented. So one thing that stuck out to me on Chris and Paige's side that was not a good thing was kind of their contradictions and their points on his motivations. Paige was saying motivations don't matter, it's just the deed. Chris was saying he probably had good motivations overall, like doing the bad things. It could have been a ploy to, like being mean to Harry could have been a disguise so that later on they'd think he was the Death Eater. So that was a little contradictory.
Well, I said that he was motivated by love. I said that was good. I said it was a crush.
Okay.
Sorry.
Last second submission.
It is too late.
Just want to make sure I'm understood.
Chris, I liked your comparisons to Batman. Very good. Distinct
Those
voices.
Nice.
Those are easy points.
And they both dress in
They
black.
do wear black cloaks.
Man, this isn't easy. Overall, I think the definition we went with, you couldn't meet all the criteria of nobility. And I think that they weren't just calling Snape names, but coming up with evidence of unheroic deeds that he did, which I think overall his motivations weren't for the good of humanity or the good of the rest of the people. They were pretty selfish and just his crush on the one girl. So I have to give it to Joe and Emily.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
A noble decision.
So good arguments, everybody. That was fun.
Whoop whoop.
I have to say, I think that was just so hard for me to choose.
That was super tough.
I think the best debate, best match debate I've heard.
The best mass debate.
Please explain.
Did you do?
Mass debate.
Let me say it again. The best matched debate. Matched.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think that the name of this
Jared.
podcast should be The Best Mass Debate.
Yes, I agree.
I need to confundus everybody in here so that you guys forgot that happened.
See, you should have voted for me. Number one.
I gave you a smooth second, O'Hanlon. A smooth second.
Before we end the show, we had one fan response on Facebook. I posted the first debate question, which spell would you choose to have in real life? And Jackson Goodspeed, loyal fan, Jacob's friend, he said, whatever spell is to remove memories for the purpose of archiving them later to relive them. So whatever spell Dumbledore uses to pull the memories out. But at the same time, you'd have to also have the pensive, so...
That's actually a really good one, though.
I thought that was very creative,
Jackson.
But with that, we will close out the episode. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Ooh. Chinese
If you dress up as anybody from Harry Potter, let us know. You can DM us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram.
Slide into our DMs.
And also thank you, Emily, Chris, and Paige for being guests on tonight's episode.
Pleasure.
Avada Kedavra.
Jeez.
Chris just killed us all.
And Jacob, Jared, and Joe, as always.
As always. And to you, Big
Thank
D.
you. Always.
All right, follow us.
Snape's famous line.
Oh, nice, Joe. That's a really good reference.
Snape's line.
Oh, yeah, it's the same thing, yeah.
All right, follow us on social media, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. Every other Friday is a schedule. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 So long.
Thanks for listening to Hostel Discourse. Subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. And check out our other social media accounts linked in the show notes. Join us next time for more inexhaustible debate over the most questionable of topics.